The Habitation and Logistics Outpost, the Power and Propulsion Element of the Gateway Station, the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope, Griffin Mission One, Falcon Heavy is the go-to for the big jobs, no doubt about it. But in just 1 month, Falcon Heavy is about to launch the most valuable and critical payload yet. This promises to be a historic and visually stunning event, a launch that will leave its mark. Let's dive in and explore all the details in today's episode. Human ambition doesn't stop at the moon. We're reaching for the farthest corners of our solar system, driven by an insatiable desire to discover life and the potential to sustain it beyond Earth. In this bold endeavor, NASA has launched an incredibly ambitious program to explore Europa, one of Jupiter's most mysterious moons. At the heart of this mission is the Europa Clipper spacecraft, a technological marvel with an impressive total mass of 6 tons, fuel included. This is the largest spacecraft NASA has ever developed for a planetary mission, and it's carrying a staggering price tag of up to $5 billion. That's right, a colossal investment. Europa Clipper has been a top priority for planetary scientists for years, and with a whopping price tag, it's set to become the most expensive payload SpaceX has ever launched. The launch window is set for 21 days between October 10th and October 30th, 2024. If all goes according to plan, Europa Clipper is expected to arrive at its destination by April 2030, marking the beginning of the most exciting phase of exploration. On September 9th, 2024, NASA will make its final decision on whether they are ready to proceed with the launch. Assuming the spacecraft is functioning as expected, and no significant obstacles arise, we can expect a positive approval from NASA. Soon after, we'll witness the historic moment when Falcon Heavy launches Europa Clipper into space, kicking off one of the most ambitious planetary exploration missions in history. Interestingly, Falcon Heavy wasn't the original choice as the launch vehicle for this mission. Selecting a rocket for such a high-stakes, costly, and ambitious mission like Europa Clipper has never been a straightforward decision. Behind every choice lies careful consideration of numerous factors: political motives, budget constraints, and most importantly, technical compatibility. Initially, under pressure from Congress, NASA had planned to launch the spacecraft aboard its own SLS rocket. 2 primary factors drove this decision. First, lawmakers, particularly U.S. Senator Richard Shelby, wanted to ensure additional missions for the SLS, securing its continued use and justifying the massive investment poured into the project. Second, SLS's incredible power promised to deliver Clipper to Jupiter in just 4 years, speeding up the timeline for groundbreaking scientific exploration. However, opposing views quickly emerged. While SLS was a feasible option, many within the scientific community strongly advocated for launching Europa Clipper aboard SpaceX's Falcon Heavy. This preference was driven by several compelling factors, with cost-effectiveness being the standout reason. Debate reached a tipping point in 2019 when the White House Office of Management and Budget, OMB, sent a letter to Senate appropriators outlining various concerns regarding actions taken in the appropriations bills. In this letter, the OMB argued that the bill was unnecessarily inflating the cost of the Europa Clipper mission by insisting it be launched aboard the SLS. What truly raised eyebrows was OMB's staggering cost estimate of over $2 billion for a single SLS launch. This figure was significantly higher than the cost of using a commercial rocket like Falcon Heavy. Specifically, the OMB stated that the Europa mission could be launched by a commercial rocket. At an estimated cost of over $2 billion per launch for the SLS once development is complete, the use of a commercial launch vehicle would provide over $1.5 billion in cost savings. Europa Clipper was already a mission burdened by significant costs. Choosing the SLS would only stretch NASA's budget further, potentially siphoning funds from other critical missions, leading to delays and hindering future exploration. Moreover, scientists feared that further delays with SLS would push back the Europa Clipper mission, jeopardizing its carefully planned schedule and threatening its scientific objectives. They stressed the importance of launching during the 2024 window, which aligns with the optimal positioning of Jupiter and Europa, ensuring the mission's success. Boeing simply couldn't deliver another SLS rocket for the Clipper mission within the required time frame. At that point, Boeing was only capable of producing 1 SLS core stage. NASA officials realized that all available core stages were crucial to supporting the human lunar landing efforts in the mid-2020s. Despite intense political pressure to launch Europa Clipper aboard the SLS, lawmakers eventually conceded to the scientific and technical realities. A pivotal moment came in late 2018 when NASA's team determined that Falcon Heavy could carry out the Europa Clipper mission independently, without requiring a gravity assist from Venus. This revelation was monumental, eliminating the complexity of a complicated flyby trajectory and the need for extensive heat shielding for the spacecraft. Not only did this dramatically boost Falcon Heavy's suitability for the mission, but it also simplified the entire flight plan, reducing risk and saving invaluable time. During the evaluation process, United Launch Alliance's Delta IV Heavy was also considered but ultimately not chosen. While Delta IV Heavy is a powerful and reliable rocket, its mission profile would have required a Venus flyby, necessitating additional heat protection for the spacecraft, making it a less attractive option compared to Falcon Heavy. However, the final nail in the coffin for SLS came from an unexpected technical issue: thrust oscillation. This phenomenon emerged as a game-changer, ultimately sealing the fate of SLS and paving the way for Falcon Heavy to take the lead. To understand this better, let's dive into some technical details. SLS uses two solid rocket boosters filled with polybutadiene acrylonitrile and ammonium perchlorate composite propellant. When these solid fuels burn, they create thrust oscillations, vibrations that travel up and down the length of the rocket, much like sound waves in an organ pipe. The critical problem here was that these oscillations exceeded Europa Clipper's tolerance levels. Technical analyses revealed that if launched on SLS, the billion-dollar spacecraft could be shaken apart right at liftoff. This was an unacceptable risk for a mission of such immense value, both financially and scientifically. In order to launch on SLS, Europa Clipper's payload would have required significant adjustments and reinforcements. However, this process was projected to add around $1 billion to the cost and consume valuable time, resources NASA simply didn't have. In the face of tight budgets and the urgent need to meet the launch window, this was an unworkable solution. On the other hand, Falcon Heavy, with its liquid-fueled engines, held a distinct advantage. Liquid engines provide far better thrust control and generally produce less vibration. This is due to the flexibility in modulating the flow of fuel and oxidizer, which greatly reduces unwanted oscillations. This characteristic made Falcon Heavy a much safer and more reliable option. Ultimately, with irrefutable technical evidence on the table, all parties reached a unanimous decision: launch Europa Clipper on Falcon Heavy. They simply couldn't risk such a precious, expensive payload, developed over many years, on a launch vehicle with no clear certainty, especially when the cost of failure was $3 billion. Thank goodness. For once, engineers triumphed over lobbyists. What's more, this was a financially brilliant decision. NASA only had to pay $178 million for Falcon Heavy, a vehicle that has already proven its capability, reliability, and cost efficiency. For this contract, SpaceX sells its Falcon Heavy rocket for less than the price of the two RS-25E attached to the SLS rocket. Well, that's what I call smart spending. With the savings from this launch, NASA could fund nearly a year of development for the SLS, or invest in other critical scientific projects. In this mission, Falcon Heavy will burn all three of its cores to exhaustion, delivering the maximum delta V to the spacecraft. This means there will be no landing legs or grid fins on any of the boosters, as every ounce of energy is dedicated to pushing the spacecraft beyond Earth's orbit. This launch is set to achieve the fastest speed ever recorded at main engine cutoff, MECO, in the history of the Falcon rocket series. Witnessing this incredible display of power and performance will be nothing short of breathtaking. This is definitely one of the most remarkable missions in the annals of space exploration. Falcon Heavy is poised to embark on a monumental, long-term mission. This mission builds on the groundbreaking discoveries of the Galileo spacecraft during its orbit around Jupiter from 1995 to 2003. Galileo provided compelling evidence of a vast ocean beneath Europa's icy crust. This ocean has many similarities to Earth's oceans, even though it's entirely covered by a thick shell of ice. Could the hidden ocean beneath Europa's surface harbor life? The upcoming mission is set to answer that very question. Thanks to previous studies, scientists already know that Europa's ocean is highly saline, and its rocky seafloor is likely rich in chemical nutrients that life could use for food and energy. This creates a potential environment where life might thrive. Even more exciting, there may be geothermal activity similar to Earth's deep-sea vents. Such hotspots could serve as oases for diverse life forms, even in the complete darkness of Europa's depths. To achieve its mission, Europa Clipper will first capture high-resolution images of Europa's surface, allowing scientists to study the Moon's icy shell in exquisite detail. This will provide critical clues about Europa's geological history and the processes happening beneath its surface. Additionally, the spacecraft will carry out an extensive analysis of Europa's composition, helping us understand the chemistry of this intriguing moon and its potential to support life. To achieve these ambitious goals, Europa Clipper will embark on an extraordinary journey. The spacecraft will orbit Jupiter and make nearly 50 flybys of Europa at altitudes ranging from 25 to 2,700 kilometers over the course of its 3.5-year mission. Each of these flybys will offer invaluable opportunities to collect data and conduct detailed observations of this icy moon. As for its journey, NASA announced in 2021 that the mission would take a 5.5-year trajectory to the Jupiter system. Along the way, the spacecraft will use gravity assist maneuvers, including a flyby of Mars in February 2025, and another of Earth in December 2026. It's no secret that Boeing and NASA share a close, long-standing partnership across various space programs, not just with Starliner, but also with the SLS. Boeing is the primary and largest contractor in developing NASA's Space Launch System, SLS, rocket, responsible for the design and production of the core stage and upper stages. August 8, 2024, marked a troubling turning point for NASA's space program. The NASA Office of Inspector General (OIG) released a scathing report exposing severe issues in the development of the next-generation Space Launch System SLS Block 1B, the configuration used from Artemis 4. Let me explain a little. SLS Block 1, the first version of this rocket, is being used for the Artemis 1, 2, and 3 missions. Its primary task is to launch the Orion spacecraft into space. However, as we move toward the Artemis 4 mission, the requirements become far more complex. This mission has an incredibly ambitious goal: assembling the Lunar Gateway, a space station that will orbit the Moon. Achieving this requires the capability to carry much heavier payloads compared to previous missions. That's why we have the SLS Block 1B, an upgraded version of Block 1. The key difference with Block 1B is its use of the Exploration Upper Stage EUS, which is equipped with 4 powerful RL-10 engines. This upgrade allows the rocket to carry 38 tons, a payload capacity that's 40% greater than Block 1. Keep this detail in mind. It's crucial. As for quality standards, NASA has set extremely stringent criteria for its partners. Specifically, aerospace contractors must comply with SAE International's AS9100D Quality Management System standards. This isn't just some bureaucratic formality. It's the foundation that ensures safety and efficiency for these highly challenging space missions. However, the report from NASA's OIG has shed light on a darker side. Boeing's quality management system at the Michoud facility failed to meet these standards and did not comply with NASA's specific requirements. This is a serious finding, especially considering Boeing's crucial role in manufacturing key components of the Space Launch System, the backbone of the Artemis program. According to the OIG, during their visit to Michoud in April 2023, they discovered a liquid oxygen tank section, a critical component of the SLS core stage 3, was segregated and pending disposition. The root of this problem? Welds that did not meet NASA's specifications? Did NASA oversee Boeing's manufacturing and safety inspection process? Yes, but not directly. To closely monitor the production process, NASA hired the Defense Contract Management Agency to oversee Boeing's activities at Michoud. When quality issues are identified, DCMA issues a corrective action request to the contractor. CARs are categorized from Level 1 to Level 4, with Level 1 being the least severe and Level 4 the most severe. The alarming fact is that within just 2 years, from September 2021 to September 2023, the DCMA had to issue a staggering 71 Level 1 and 2 CARs to Boeing, along with a draft Level 3 car. These numbers are extraordinarily high and atypical for a spaceflight system at this stage of development. It's a clear reflection of a declining quality control system, with issues that keep recurring without any real improvement. Why is this number so high? Several factors contribute to this situation, but recent findings from NASA's OIG report have shed light on some core issues. One major factor is the lack of adequately trained and experienced aerospace personnel at Michoud. This is a fundamental problem that directly impacts product quality and the manufacturing process. Officials at Michoud have pointed out that attracting and retaining an experienced aerospace workforce is a significant challenge due to the facility's geographical location in New Orleans, Louisiana, and the comparatively lower wages offered in contrast to other aerospace competitors. The point is, Boeing chose New Orleans, Louisiana for a reason. This was never random. In the past, Boeing has shown a willingness to relocate an entire production facility to other parts of the country where labor costs are lower. A prime example is their decision in 2021 to move 787 Dreamliner production from Washington State to South Carolina. You see, what Boeing is really after is money. One of the most severe consequences of Boeing's cost-cutting strategy is the alarming erosion of its skilled and experienced workforce. Many seasoned employees with deep knowledge accumulated over years have been replaced by less experienced workers. This not only diminishes the quality of the work directly, but also creates a significant knowledge gap within the organization. When the transfer of knowledge between old and new employees is ineffective, it's inevitable that Boeing ends up with a workforce that hasn't reached the necessary level of expertise. While Boeing has attempted to address this by providing training and detailed on-the-job instructions, these efforts are undoubtedly insufficient to make up for the lack of experience and in-depth knowledge. In reality, even Boeing's top executives lack the essential knowledge of rocket science. Musk pointed out that the downfall of the company is due to the dominance of moneymakers, stating that there are too many non-technical managers at Boeing and that the CEO of an aircraft company should know how to design aircraft, not spreadsheets. The situation becomes even more alarming when considering Boeing's poor quality assurance (QA) culture. A concerning manifestation of this issue is the tendency to accept substandard parts from suppliers. We've seen the consequences of this in the Starliner project, where problems with Rocketdyne's thrusters and helium leaks from ValveTech's valves led to one of Boeing's most humiliating failures. But that's not all. The OIG report also highlighted another serious issue. Boeing's process for addressing contract non-compliance has been ineffective. According to officials from the Defense Contract Management Agency, Boeing often fails to respond or take corrective actions when similar quality control issues reoccur. Do you know the root cause of this? It's Boeing's acceptance of traveled work, a practice where quality issues are deferred to later stages in the production process instead of being addressed as they arise. Furthermore, Boeing frequently puts intense pressure on workers to accelerate production to meet deadlines. Many errors are overlooked or inadequately addressed, accumulating over time and potentially leading to catastrophic outcomes. This approach might offer some short-term financial and schedule benefits, but it introduces severe technical and safety risks. In the aerospace industry, where precision and reliability are paramount, accepting traveled work is an especially dangerous practice. Beyond these significant quality control issues, NASA and Boeing's SLS Block 1B project is also grappling with major cost and schedule challenges. According to reports, the projected cost for developing the SLS Block 1B has skyrocketed to $5.7 billion, with the system expected to launch in 2028. This figure exceeds NASA's 2023 baseline commitment by more than $700 million. This cost overrun not only strains NASA's budget, but also raises serious concerns about the project management capabilities of both NASA and Boeing. Notably, a significant portion of this cost, nearly $2.8 billion, is allocated for the development of the Exploration Upper Stage (EUS). It's simply too expensive for what is essentially an upgrade to the rocket. To put it into perspective, the amount of money being spent on this is even more than what NASA awarded SpaceX under the contract for developing the Crew Transportation Vehicle. And let's not forget, SpaceX built a total of 12 Dragon capsules. The initial estimate for the EUS was $962 million. Not exactly a small amount of money, but at least it was manageable. But Boeing managed to triple that cost. In addition to cost issues, the project's schedule has also suffered significant setbacks. Boeing's delivery of the EUS to NASA has been delayed from February 2021 to April 2027, a delay of over 6 years. When combined with other factors, this delay suggests that the Artemis 4 launch in September 2028 is almost certain to be pushed back further. This poses major challenges for NASA's entire Artemis program, which is already under immense pressure regarding timelines and high expectations from the public and political spheres. But here's the real kicker. When we dig into the financial mechanics of this contract between NASA and Boeing, we uncover a troubling reality. The rising costs aren't just a burden on the national budget. They could actually serve as a perverse incentive for the contractor. This contract operates on a cost-plus model, meaning Boeing gets reimbursed for all expenses incurred, plus a fixed fee. This creates a shocking paradox. The more expensive the project gets, the more Boeing stands to gain. This could very well explain why a project initially slated for completion in 2021 has now been pushed back to 2028, an astounding 7-year delay. NASA has been tightening its belt for years, yet they're still pouring an excessive amount of money into Boeing without hitting their deadline. These delays and cost overruns are bound to have a ripple effect across the entire Artemis program. Each year of delay not only increases costs, but also slows down the timeline for critical space exploration missions, potentially jeopardizing America's leadership in this field. Yet NASA refuses to impose penalties on Boeing. NASA interprets this recommendation to be directing NASA to institute penalties outside the bounds of the contract, they said. This decision could exacerbate the crisis facing the Artemis program. That's not fine at all. What do you think the most viable solution is at this point? Comment below. All right, that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth looks at the latest advancements in space technology. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.